Andrew Aurich joining us today. So, Coach, I'll just introduce who's on the call first. We got Chris Nowalski from the Night Report, James Cratch, NJ.com, Chris Eisman, Asbury Park Press, Bobby Darren, 24/7 Sports, Tom Canavan from the Associated Press, and Fooch. So we'll do it the same format as we did last week. So we'll start with an opening statement, and then we'll go around one question each and do any follow-ups after that. Just a reminder if you can keep your line on mute when you're not talking. So we'll start with Coach's opening statement.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited to be back at Rutgers. Working for Coach Giano, going on my third stint with him. I learned a ton from him my first two go-rounds, and I'm just excited to be back and continue to learn from him. This third time, and then I'm also excited, to get to work with Coach Gleason again. We spent a lot of time together at Princeton, and it's a great experience a great opportunity for me to be here coaching the O-line and the offense that I know and I believe in. So it's a really exciting time, and it's also nice because I see a lot of familiar faces here as well, having worked with Coach Frazier, Coach Smith, a couple of guys who are former players, a lot of familiar faces. There's just a lot of excitement around the program with all these guys that are believers in what we're going to do here.
So it's Chris Nowalski.
All right. So real quick, I know you kind of mentioned already, but what's it been like being at Rutgers so far? Obviously, and you're not with the team right now too. But what's that been like?
It's been great. So I might be the only Power 5 coach in the country who shortened his drive to work by getting this job. I have a 10-minute drive to work now. Location-wise, it's been great, but just being around these guys, the energy that every one of them has, and starting with Coach Giano all the way down, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm just excited for everybody getting back together at some point.
James Cratch.
Andrew, whenever you get to camp with the guys, you're the third offensive line coach they've had in 3 years. How do you kind of approach that, and how big of a challenge do you think that is, the turnover at the position, for you to kind of work with those guys technique-wise, scheme-wise?
Well, these guys have been, before we left, they were working extremely hard, and we're, just soaking up all the information they can, and you could tell they want to be great players. So, I'm really more just excited to be back with them in person and, see what kind of jump they've made since the last time I've seen them. They're all hard workers, so the sky's the limit for all of them.
Chris Eisman.
Hey, Andrew. Just with the spring season being canceled because of the coronavirus, how tough has that made the evaluation process for you, and how have you been able to adjust to that?
Well, that's really out of my hands, so I'm just going off of the information I have, and the one thing I know is these guys want to be challenged. They live the culture, and they're going to be ready to come back and work in whatever way, shape, or form that is when we're allowed back. So, I'm excited about the entire group. Every one of them is just full of energy and thirsting for knowledge. Thanks.
Bobby.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about how many guys you like to use in your rotation, especially with the tempo that Coach Gleason's going to use. Do you feel like you could be a coach that switches O-linemen over the course of the game, or do you prefer to just stay with the same five?
I've done that in the past where I've rotated in linemen, and as I get to know these guys better and see where we're at, and as we're back here at the Hale Center, working together, I'll get a better feel for that. But I think it's a powerful thing for guys staying fresh, building depth, all those positives.
Tom.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Great.
Every offensive line I've ever covered, the guys talk about gelling. And if you're not on the field, how do you build that in this downtime?
There's plenty of ways to gel. Just with these guys, and FaceTiming with them FaceTiming together, any way we can get together as a group, whether it's a FaceTime lunch together. These guys can build bonds with themselves and also with me. So it's just a matter of being creative and thriving in this environment that we have in front of us right now.
Coach?
Welcome, Andrew. I just wanted to know your philosophy on offensive linemen. Do you like the big maulers? Do you like the athletic type? For this offense, what do you think is best?
Well, obviously there's certain traits that benefit players out in the field. The most important thing I'm looking for is guys who work extremely hard, want to be challenged, and guys who will play fast, will operate fast, and will process information fast. And the last part is my job, to put the system in place in their head so they can process the information fast.
All right, we'll open up the floor. Any follow-ups?
Coach, I wanted to ask you a question on, it's Bobby again. I wanted to ask you a question on recruiting offensive linemen. What do you look for? I know some coaches would look for guys who play multiple sports, some like those basketball players. What is your kind of prototypical recruit look like when you're evaluating guys?
Well, I think recruits come in all shapes and sizes when it comes to offensive line. Like I said before, you're looking for certain traits, physical traits that would lead to them having more success. But what it really comes down to is you got to have guys who are going to work hard, they love football, they want to be challenged, and you think they're going to fit into the team culture.
Hey, Andrew, it's Cratch again. We get asked this a lot by fans. Center, do you know who's going to at least be there when you guys get back on the field? I'm not pressing you for a first depth chart yet.
I would say there's a number of guys who have been working really hard who could possibly fill that spot. I think it's premature to even bring up names at this point, but I'm happy with the group of guys who could end up there and kind of how they're progressing at this point.
Andrew, Tom Canavan again. With your players, do you cross-train them? Do you want your guards to be able to move to tackle, or your guards to move to centers, or things like that?
I think you got to take it on a case-by-case basis with guys. Obviously, the more you can do, the better. So it's definitely something that I think benefits every offensive lineman to be able to play multiple spots. But certain guys may not be able to handle that, and you keep them where they're at. Guys who can, you love to cross-train them because it just benefits them and the opportunity to get in the field faster.
Hey, Andrew, you mentioned the energy in the room, the staff. What's it like being part of a young staff with local ties?
Oh, it's a ton of fun. I mean, the amount of guys here who have been a part of Rutgers previously and had success here, you can just see that everybody understands what we're going to be able to get this place to, and it's just a lot of fun to be a part of, just being around those guys. And youngness brings energy, I guess, but there's plenty of guys who have the energy and they may not necessarily consider it young, so it's been a ton of fun.
Have time for a couple more?
Hey, Andrew, it's Cratch again. How, I know obviously Rutgers tie is close to home, a shorter commute. How big of it was to reunite with Sean? I know you mentioned it at the top.
Oh, it was really big. I mean, that was something that I was hoping would happen when he left Princeton, and we have a really strong relationship. We've known each other for a long time. We actually, my first college job at Albright College in Reading, PA, I was recruiting Morris County, and one of my buddies from college lived in the faculty housing at Del Barton School, and Sean was teaching there. So I became friends with him a long time ago, and obviously our relationship grew as we started to work together. But we just have a really good understanding of how the offensive line and the quarterbacks work together, and just kind of understand what each of us are thinking, and it makes it so it's a really easy relationship to kind of work together on an offense.
Final question? Everybody all set? All right. Thanks, Coach, for your time today. Thanks to all the media for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Be safe.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.